Welcome to Daily Plunge. We're in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 17, verses 22 through 27. Now, Jesus tells his disciples who are investing in him and what, they hope Jesus is going to bring about the kingdom of God, right? And then he tells them that the Son of Man, the promised Messiah, is going to be delivered into the hands of wicked men. Not that he's going to deliver them from the hands of wicked men, but rather he's going to be placed into their hands, and that not that he's going to destroy these wicked men, but they're going to kill him. And this is completely upside down for what they think they're investing in and what they're hoping for. And then he tells them, and on the third day, the Messiah, the Son of God, will be raised to life. Well, they have no clue what this means. And even for us who live on the other side of the resurrection, it's hard for us to fathom all that means, all its power. Now, it tells us in verse 23, the disciples are filled with grief. And the reason why is because they are losing their Jewish dream of the restoration of Israel, of a renewed nation. And the reason why is because their dream of what they think the Messiah is supposed to do is not in line with God's will. Their dream is not of the kingdom. And we have to ask ourselves as believers, what dream or delusion do we attach to Christianity, perhaps, our Christian faith, that really is not in line with the kingdom of God? It's not in line with what Jesus is teaching us, and we need to let go of it. Now, they are experiencing grief, right? Because there is no growth in our faith without loss. There is no discipleship. There's no growth in discipleship without conflict with the world. And that conflict is the cross. When we're trying to grow in our discipleship and we experience this grief and we experience this conflict, that's the cross happening in our lives where the priorities of God's kingdom are butting up against the priorities of this world, and they don't match. And we sort of get led into that in the next passage where Jesus and his disciples, they get to Capernaum, and there are the temple tax collectors, collecting a tax from every Jewish male throughout the region, as put out in the Exodus 30, and it's Jewish males in Palestine and Galilee and Judea. And they ask him, doesn't your rabbi pay this tax? And Peter's like, oh, sure he does. And he goes back and he says, what are we supposed to do with this? And Jesus asks, do kings collect taxes from their own children or from their subjects? And he's from their children. And he's basically, Jesus saying, why would I pay tax to get into my own father's house? And it's all the difference between the law, in which it's a tax, and it is a duty, it's an obligation to be a part of the temple, right? Versus the good news that we belong to the Father by the grace of Jesus Christ, that this is the gospel. And as children of God, we are exempt from a tax, but we have the opportunity instead to give an offering because we want to participate in what God is doing, right? And then Jesus says in verse 27 that we're exempt, but we are not to use our gospel freedom to cause offense to others, but rather we are to use our freedom to help other people to stop stumbling through the darkness and in the law and to be freed into God's kingdom. Well, hey, thanks, friends. Have a blessed day.